This video will show you how to both remove the caliper for installing a new rotor, as well as completely remove it for additional work or replacement. Begin by safely raising and supporting your vehicle, as well as removing the front wheels. Please follow the link provided at the end of this video for additional assistance with that task. Next, remove the brake pad wear sensor from the connector on the top of the wheel carrier. Follow the wire towards the caliper, removing it from the bleeder nipple. Next, you're going to remove the retaining pin, green arrow, using a small set of pliers. Use a punch and a small hammer and tap out the retaining pin towards the inside of the caliper, red arrow. Use care as the retaining clip can be under pressure, green arrow. Remove the retaining clip. Use your hands or pliers and remove the old wear sensors. There is a sensor on the inboard and outer pad on the fronts, red arrows. Use a brake pad spreader and compress the pads outward, pushing the pistons back into the caliper. If you are replacing the pads or need them completely removed for work on the caliper, please follow the link provided at the end of this video for additional assistance. You are going to be pushing the pistons back into the calipers. This will cause brake fluid in the system to move back up into the reservoir. Open the front trunk and remove the access panel for the brake fluid reservoir, red arrow. Make sure there is room for this additional fluid, and if needed, use a clean siphon and remove a little fluid. Whether you are hanging the caliper out of the way or disconnecting them from the brake lines, you will need to remove the 10mm bolt holding the brake line bracket to the wheel carrier, green arrow. If you are removing the caliper to work on it, you will need to separate the flexible line to the hard line at the caliper, green arrow. Use a 10mm flare nut wrench and loosen and separate the fittings. The nut on the hard line, blue arrow, should be the only thing that turns. The flexible line should stay in place and not turn by the tabs that sit in the bracket, red arrows. Whether you remove the pads or just compress them back enough to clear the rotors, you can now use a 10mm Allen and remove the two mounting bolts, blue arrows. The mounting hardware is single-use only and must be replaced. The caliper is now free of the rotor. If you disconnected the brake line, you can take it to your bench. If you are leaving it connected to the line, you must support the weight of the caliper with a rope or hanger. Never let the caliper hang by the brake line. If you are running Porsche factory pads, they will have a backing plate with two pots, green arrows, that sit inside the pistons, yellow arrows. The problem is these tend to rust together. The pots get frozen into the pistons, blue arrow. Ours were so bad we sent our calipers out to PMB Performance. They fixed them up beautifully, and it is much cheaper than buying new calipers. When we got the calipers back from PMB, they looked like new factory calipers. Installation is the reverse of removal. Torque the caliper bolts to 85 Nm or 63 foot-pounds. Torque all bracket mounting hardware to 10 Nm or 7.5 foot-pounds. When reinstalling, you must bleed your brakes. Do not attempt to drive your vehicle until you have completely bled your brakes. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.